Welcome back to the Education System Reboot channel. It's been a while, very busy time of year, but I thought I would just jump on and talk about something that I have been doing in one of my classes. So a little background, and I let me go back and just kind of preface a few more things. So the idea would be, I'm sure as educators we've noticed discipline issues in general. I think that we've all had discussions, at least in my neck of the woods, about how COVID has affected the behavior of kids. Some people say we have to remind ourselves that kids are 2 years behind. Like, so my sixth graders are really fourth graders. Now, with all that being said, obviously classroom management is difficult for everyone at times, and I'm sure there are people out there that do it better than me, and I don't pretend to be an expert. But I've noticed, again, I've been teaching a couple classes. One is called Music Exploration, which is actually a class that I had to kind of start. I did it a few years ago, but I kind of restarted it this year because of COVID. My program kind of got a little decimated, and so I needed something to try to get kids back and teach them things, because I had a fifth grade band at the elementary school and that didn't happen. So it's kind of just a tool to try to rebuild my program. And thus far, in general, class has been quite successful. And I have, of course, noticed the behavior issues and the inability for students to focus. But I also have noticed that in general, my classes have been run to my expectation, to the most part, until this semester. And I have one class that's just difficult. And, the names will be changed to protect the innocent. Obviously I'm not going to do any name dropping, but, it was a struggle. And as the second semester started, I was at a loss for what to do. And I was hearing across the board from many other teachers, they were just having the same trouble. So, after having a little coming to Jesus moment, as we say, as a phrase, I brainstormed a little bit, had a conversation with him, but I thought about, okay, how can I be effective and get to what I need to do and still allow them to kind of to recognize that they haven't maybe been held accountable or taught these behavior things, and how do we baby step it? So we discussed a little bit with my guidance, of course, but I came up with this idea, and it's not working perfectly, but it seems to be working. And again, maybe I'll have to do a follow-up video later, but it's called 5 on, 5 off. And the idea is, I sat down with them and said, look, I've got to get through my material and you have to stop interrupting. We can't keep doing this. And I have the same class with a couple other classes, and they're progressing fine. Like, in general, can monitor their behavior a little bit better. All right. So basically what I do is I set a timer for 5 minutes, and during that 5 minutes, it's my time, and they are quiet. They let me teach. It allows me to be very focused and try to get to exactly my point. And then after the timer goes off, they get 5 minutes. They can be on the phones, they can do whatever, like, not whatever, but again, within reason. And of course, as it escalates, I try to bring them back. But the idea is, it's like, I'm just saying, look, can you literally focus for 5 minutes, period? And in general, it seems to be working. And what's interesting, at least because this is music exploration, I've also noticed when they get their 5 minutes, more and more of them want to go play on the instruments. And I let them, it's hard because I have to kind of monitor them. But it's interesting to me because maybe it's just this class, but they just want to play. They want to, but without the proper instruction, it's not good. It's not good for them to just play. They need instruction. So anyway, I'm about a week into this and I'm liking it. And then we agreed that the next week it would be 6 minutes mine, 5 minutes theirs, and then 7 minutes mine, 5 minutes theirs. So the idea would be, we're going to try to build that capacity. Now, again, if anybody finds this and thinks it's a good idea, maybe someone already has been doing this and it works great. I pulled it out of my hat a few times here and there, but it just seems like it's about the only thing left for me to do in this case. And so anyway, I just thought I'd share it here, considering I haven't done a video in a while. So hopefully somebody finds this helpful, but I'm optimistic. And that's, I think that's part of being a teacher. You have to be optimistic that you have to be optimistic that the things you're doing are going to work, but you also have to trust the process. So the other reason I'm just putting this out there is, yeah, it's only a week, but I have to be firm with the process. Like, I have to be consistent about it, because it's the only way students will honestly prove to themselves that they can be quiet for 5 minutes, and then 7 minutes, and then 8 minutes. This is kind of a joke, but before COVID, I had a sixth grade class. It was a different class, but we made a joke about, don't kill Mr. Garrett. And what I meant by that is I made a comment once. It's like, man, if my life depended on you being quiet for 1 minute, I would be dead. And it was a joke, but then they're like, oh, can we do it? And it's kind of reminiscent of that, where it's like, you know, a student's behavior, there are certain times where they have to know how to behave, period. Like there's no excuse. Doesn't matter. The excuses don't work. Anyway, it's kind of, I just was thinking about that as I'm talking about this. So anyway, I just found it kind of funny. But that's the other, like, don't kill Mr. Garrett. And they laughed about it. And, it was kind of a fun thing. But again, I know many teachers are probably struggling with the idea of how do we get kids to behave. And I don't know, these short bursts seem to be working, but maybe it also just makes me a little more sane. So anyway, if that helps anyone, I hope so. Anyway, welcome back after a month or two. I can't remember the last time I put a video on here. So with that being said, as always, consistent effort over time equals success.